Stories about an escaped buffalo, and it ravages the town.
Yeah, so I'll be completely honest with you. Like throughout the film, I was watching it like, what is going on? Like I was like, what's going on? It was like just a day in the life. Like a buffalo runs loose in the town, and then like we're just chasing this buffalo. Then we kind of see like one guy who got banished from town comes back into town, but he's in the film for like 10 minutes, so like I never really care about him. We do some flashback sequences, but nothing really connected. And then at the end, we have some like beginning of 2001 Space Odyssey shit to
Yeah,
end the
so
film with.
so right now, the people who are watching this review, they're either on your side or my side.
Yeah.
It's right down the middle. Because for me, I can already tell the movie went right over your head. Not saying you didn't understand it, but I'm saying you didn't look at it through the same lens that I did.
No, I definitely didn't. Because
Yeah.
there was no story. It was just, right off, me, right off the bat, I'm watching, there's no story. I'm like, okay, this is one of these.
What did you like about the movie? Before we get into our argument.
The thing I liked about the film the most was like, we have never spent any time in like a small village in southern India. So we get a kind of taste of like what might transpire in a town like that. Because it looked like very rural. The roads, it looked like it had one main paved road that went through the town. But other than that, you were just kind of like scattered in the jungle. You had some interesting characters. You had the guy who wanted to not kill any buffaloes at all, and he was growing like, I don't know if he was like a medicine doctor, like an herbalist of some sort, but he had like herbs. He was telling people not to sip those herbs. Then we got the church. And then just other things that were like confusing, like from what we've seen in India for the most part, cows are sacred, right? In this town, they're eating buffalo left and right, and it's no big
Well,
deal.
because they're Christian.
Well, exactly, but that always kind of takes me back for a second.
Oh, confused you in a. Oh, I see.
You forget about that, like because all we ever hear is like we've seen movies where they're killing Muslims for butchering cattle, allegedly. You know what I mean? In that part of India, but in this part of India, like.
Well, it's a very specific
Yeah.
region. It's not like all of southern India is like this.
Right.
I did my research, not to the point where I could say this takes place in this specific town, but like it's more of a region as opposed to the bottom half of the country. What I enjoyed about it was everything that you didn't like, because to me it was a slice of life, but it is a 2001 story where it's a thematic film. The movie starts off with this huge, long tracking shot where it starts with the sun rising, and it just, you could see, like, it just keeps going back and farther as this helicopter shot or whatever, it's on a drone or something.
Right.
It shows the jungle. All it is showing the jungle.
And then they go into that rhythmic thing with everybody opening their eyes.
No, before that, they show the animals, they show the ants, they show all of these little bits and pieces of life. They show anthill, like that's what all the setup is. That this is we're going in this jungle and we're exploring this specific part of the world, and that it's showing you through this shot. Like the whole story is going to take place through all the chase is going to go through all this stuff, right? And then it goes into this everybody waking up, but everybody at the very beginning, obviously the buffalo's not escaped yet, so everyone has these, like you said, someone coming back into the town who is like castaway type thing, and all these little things. But then once that buffalo comes out, then all of a sudden the town shuts down and it becomes this tribalistic film. Not initially, but it becomes one. Literally to the point where when they finally capture this buffalo after it falls in a well, fighting over it, willing to stab each other and kill each other over it. I mean, the movie literally ends with a dog pile, an Indian dog pile.
Yeah, but once we got to the dog pile was it was surreal. It was like, it went to a surreal place.
It was real in the story, but it definitely took on a surrealistic approach. Like, I guarantee you, ask the director if that happened in the story, he would say yes. It wasn't some like, and he died and he imagined himself getting. That happened in the story.
No,
I'm with you.
I saw that, but
that's the juxtaposition to the ants at the beginning of the story.
Yeah, we had like this. Yeah,
but it's the ants. It's the ants. Same thing. And then he gets out. I mean, he could do a great zombie movie, by the way, because if you replace the buffalo with zombies.
Well, the trailer was misleading because we kind of thought I remember when we watched the trailer, we kind of thought it might have been like
Well, you
some
thought
sort
it
of,
was the
like,
cannibalism.
zombie cannibalism thing, and
Yeah.
they kind of reference it in the film twice, and it never gets brought back again.
To continue on what you were saying earlier about 2001 pre-human humanoid
Yeah.
things, because at first I watched the movie and that scene happened and I got happy. I love seeing that shit because that was a ballsy move to go that far back into time where they're killing a buffalo yet again, and then they go into the animation thing. It's almost like history repeating itself. People have been doing this since forever. The innocent one is kind of the buffalo because they're treating the buffalo like a beast, and the reality is the humans are the beast. And I know I'm getting analytical with it, but that is 100% what I took away from the movie as I was watching it.
And I get that's what the film was about. I just didn't like it. I was like, especially the way it got kind of tied together at the end. I was like, because for me, it didn't build up. It didn't earn that at the end. It didn't earn it enough.
But you were looking at it from a story, and it wasn't going to be in the beginning. So you were looking for something that was never going to show up, ever, at any point. Because there was never a... If we were to discuss...
Fascinates me the things you do to justify your points.
It's not a justification. It's a thematic film. There's no narrative. There's no love story. There's no A plot, B plot. There's nothing.
I hate the use of
There's no development.
films. Like that's
you
that's
don't.
always a cop out.
But you don't.
That's always your cop out though. That's your excuse for when films don't have a story. Oh, but the themes. It's a buzzword. It's like saying warm tone.
But why can't we just discuss the movie?
No, we are.
Why does it have to be like?
I'm just saying.
This filmmaker decided to make the movie like this. Why? What does that matter? If he wanted to tell, it's like writing literature. You know, you have Captain Underpants and you have Ernest Hemingway.
I could see why
and everywhere in between.
I could see why people would get upset watching the film for sure. I can understand. I didn't get upset, but I was just like,
no one got upset. I'm just kind of prefacing it for the people watching it because I'm assuming if you've seen the movie, you're watching our review.
Fair
and
enough.
I'm going to assume that when they hear you jump out the gate talking shit, I got to give some yin to the yang or whatever's which. I don't know if you're yin or you're yang or I'm yin. I don't know what. I'm not a Chinese philosopher, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
From a technical perspective, though, sound was great. I really enjoyed the sound design, especially through the speakers, like my surround sound speakers, because they play a lot with circular, like the surround sound, like in the breathing. I don't know how you watched it.
I didn't get that because I watched it on my laptop.
Okay, see, there you go. I'm not saying that's all of a sudden you would have loved
No,
the
but
movie,
I wouldn't get the sound. That I definitely wouldn't pick up on the sound.
You can hear that every time they were breathing, it was like left speaker, right speaker, back left, back, and it was like, it kind of gives you this sense of like...
It was an actual design. Like
you're like, kind of like, whoa, what's going on here?
He actually took sound serious rather
100%.
than... Yeah.
Same thing with the animals in the beginning. Same thing with the drone shot in the beginning. Like, there's a reason why... There's some creative filmmaking going on. There's creative expressions. That's a better way to put it. But there's also little moments that I like too that probably wouldn't have happened in a normal story. I mean, the hunter, when that hunter comes, who was actually the guy who had the beef.
Right.
But he had like his little entourage with him who was like singing his theme song.
It's funny as you say that. I didn't enjoy that because it just didn't feel real. And maybe it is real. Maybe that's how it is in there, but it just didn't feel real. Like,
see that's the thing.
Like a guy gets banished from town and then people are chanting his name just because he has a fucking like rifle that was made in 1765.
Hey man, when you see when guns are banned, you gotta get what
Fair
you gotta
enough,
get.
man. Fair enough.
I thought it was real, actually. You let us know in the comments if that was an I mean, it felt like a film exaggeration of it, but because here, let me put it this way.
I mean, there was that, and then those guys came from out of town to come and help wrangle the bull, and they were drunk the whole time. But what made it make even less sense was that the guy was banished from town. And
yeah, they never really cleared up how he was able to get back into their good graces. I agree with you 100%.
Right.
And if they did, I don't remember.
And then the reason, like, did the guy double cross him just because he was trying to bang that same chick?
I agree that was a little weak, and it was suggested, but at the end of the day, it still all ties back to the human aspect to it.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to say it was a major part of the film, but it was an important part of the film to a certain extent. You just never find out anything. Why? Because when he comes back into town, they're like, well, let's call I can't remember the guy's name, but let's call Hector. Let's call him Hector. Let's call Hector. And that guy was like, no, you don't ever call it Hector. You don't ever say that guy's name again. Like, you double crossed him. We don't know why you double crossed him.
They don't call for him right away.
No, they don't. It was like a last resort.
They
And then when he shows up, the guy's pissed off that he's there. But it wasn't like I snitched on you and I'm scared. It was like, I'm mad at you, like you did something to me. So what did he do? We never find out if he did.
Well, it has to do with the girl. It has to do with the girl and stealing girls, I believe. If I remember correctly, that's what it had to do with. But once again,
and then somebody's dad like died
these
in
are
a well.
these are all pieces to the puzzle of the theme. They're just means to justify.
No, but see, that's the thing. But
they're not building towards anything.
If you explain these puzzles, it makes it better.
No, because then it becomes a movie.
It makes it better.
It becomes a movie.
Well, that's what it is. It is a movie. It's supposed to be. It's not a documentary.
No, but it becomes a 3-act structure. It becomes a narrative, and there is
not
no
necessarily.
Narrative. I think so.
It just makes everybody's motivations make sense, and it makes the payoff at the end even more. Need to know. Because then you really see why this is the animalistic nature, not just because people are chasing a buffalo around town.
See, I think the problem is you're looking at it from a micro perspective, and I watch the whole film as a macro piece. That these characters
and that's always my thing. I should never have to use excuses and justifications.
It's not an excuse.
It is a use. You're using a justification to make the thing.
It's a lens in which
this is like okay. It's like okay. As long as you watch this film on a Tuesday after 2 beers, after you had a fight with your wife, you'll get it.
Except I didn't say that. Except all my justifications are film-based.
Everything you're saying is
Look,
that.
It's like this. It's like saying, here's the film. It's going to be through this lens the whole time. And you're going to look like a close-up, right? If I change the lens and I make it wider, it's going to change the outlook of the movie.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's a fucking justification.
No, but
you're using it like you have to okay, well, if you viewed it this way.
I didn't say you have to do anything.
That's what you
I'm
just
telling
said.
you how I watched the movie.
Right. But then you're telling me the reason why you feel that way is because you looked at it this way. But since I looked at it this way,
because I would have to feel.
I loved it. You know, that's a
I think it matters. I think it matters.
No, I don't think so.
If I wanted,
I think if you have to go into a film with a certain mentality,
if I went to Pornhub.com,
it doesn't work.
And if I went to Pornhub and I watched one of their fucking porns that had a story in it, and I started getting angry about, well, there was no character development, and I didn't know who this girl was, and what's.
No, that's.
I need to take that.
Oh my God, that's so far out of left field.
I'm sorry,
it doesn't make any sense
perfectly
at all.
good example.
You went to Pornhub to jerk off, okay?
Maybe I went for the
story. Now that you decided to go and watch a story, that's you make it another justification for why you didn't like the porn. All right.
Maybe I like.
We all know what the purpose of going to Pornhub was for. You know.
I don't know.
Nobody watches it for the story.
There's a lot of.
It's not 1975, bro. Like. You know, once we
hit
the 80s, once we hit the 80s, they don't even fucking put stories anymore.
You keep talking over the fact that I just proved you wrong because you go.
You didn't prove me wrong at all. You just made up some fucked up fucking example. That makes no sense.
So when you watch porn, it has to be through the lens of jerking off. What if I want to appreciate the cinematic elements? What if I love Debbie Does Dallas? What if I love Deep Throat? What if I love Alice in Wonderland?
Well, number one, those are 1970s movies that had a story. So it's a different kind of porn in the first place. Because you couldn't watch from your laptop. You went to the theater to watch it. And if you jerked off at the theater, you get in fucking trouble for it. So you couldn't go to the theater to watch it to jerk off.
Well, clearly the porn you watch is like from the 90s. And it's just straight fucking. Because there's plenty of porn with stories
everything
nowadays.
I'm saying right now is just making what you're saying fall apart. So.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Not.
It absolutely is.
Use
a different example because that's a terrible example.
Someone like Bella Thorne just made porn, directed a porn with a story.
Okay.
Because she wanted to tell a story.
Okay.
Movies like 9 Songs. Movies like the same director. He just did a new one, and I'm forgetting about it. I'm blanking on the name right now. These movies have sex in them.
Do those get released on Pornhub?
No.
Exactly.
But Bella Thorne's did.
End of
Bella
story.
Thorne's did. It's her fucking movie. I'm describing movies that are like this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm stripping down your idea that you have to look at it through a certain thing. If I watch a documentary, I can watch it from a filmmaker's perspective. I can watch a Michael Moore's movie and tell you why it's manipulative or why it's.
You can watch.
Or I can watch it as
You can watch a
news
movie
fact.
on a technical level and say, "Hey, I'm gonna break this film down completely by techniques, this, that, and the other."
Yes, and I recognize those techniques immediately as soon as you. If a movie starts off with a long establishing shot that's 3.5+ minutes.
In this instance, you're using the techniques as an excuse for why the movie had no story.
Tell me what, if I start a movie, the very first thing is one shot, it's a static shot, you don't see anything, and it lasts 5 minutes. That's the very first thing you establish. What type of movie do you think you're going to be watching?
A bad one.
That's not answering my question.
That
is
exactly.
Is it artistic?
It's artistic. It automatically makes it a bad one.
So you think it's artistic right off the bat?
Well, when we use the term artistic with filmmaking, we know we're
But there was an intention behind it, right?
maybe not.
I'm
That's
asking.
always been my excuse with all these kinds of films.
But you're gonna start. You're not gonna have Die Hard start with the scene that's just the Yakatomi Plaza building for 5 minutes.
No.
You're just not.
No.
But if you did, if you start with that scene, and then you cut to fucking leaves on the ground and fucking ants crawling on the ground, and you never see John McClane talk about his wife or any of his personal problems, it becomes an entirely different movie because they're taking different approaches on how to represent the same.
Okay, but if you did all that and then you let it into the movie that it is now, none of that stuff at the beginning would connect to the rest of the film.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying if you started off that way and then all of a sudden you started seeing other elements that are very similar and reminiscent of the first one, extremely long takes in the movie. Most of the things are done in one take, wide shots, cameras on some sort of Movi or steady cam, and just going through fluid motion. The camera's always moving. It's always doing something. Everything's always kinetic, right? But you're going to have, based on what you've seen previously, for me, as a filmmaker, it's going to set up the type of movie I'm going to watch. It's just like if I watch a film from Tamil and I know that there's the first 5 minutes of the movie and you see the hero come out and hear all the theme music and you see super slow motion and the speakers are blaring and he fucking kicks somebody's ass and he says some like, I know that it's going to be this type of movie right off the bat.
Okay.
And so it's gonna help guide me on how to look through. Same thing we watch 1940s movies, and you say, "Oh, I fucking hate that I have to do it," but you still put the lens on. You might not think it justifies it or not, but you like. We won't use Citizen Kane, but you like Casablanca. That's an older film from the 40s.
Right.
But you definitely watch it as a 40s film. You don't watch it as a 2019 film.
Well, because things that are happening and it didn't happen in 2019.
Exactly. But the lens in which you watch a movie, you can change.
But the Casablanca, but see, the thing with Casablanca is the story is so good and the film is so well made that it doesn't matter what year it came.
But the story, my light fell. Probably should pick that up before it starts a fire. Yeah. The story of Casablanca, you have to set yourself in 1940 because it doesn't make sense in 2019.
You're adjusting yourself in the sense that you know it takes place during World War II,
But some of the other things too, like filming techniques, lighting techniques, acting, you're gonna look at it differently. They don't hold. You put on a performance like that, not all those performances are gonna be great. The villain of the movie, like that the guy who's an M, I forget his name, but he has that distinctive villainous face.
Right.
You're not gonna see that guy in a movie today, obviously because he's dead, but I'm saying we've gotten away, I think so at least, we've gotten away from people looking like villains, like looking like the bad guy.
No, I think Bond villains still look like there's something wrong with them.
Okay, you watch a James Bond movie, you know it's going to be a spy movie.
Okay, but that's
and
completely different.
If you know he jumps off a building and he does like fucking backflips with motorcycles.
I mean, we can keep going over this. I get what you're putting down, and maybe the problem is that I would have stopped watching this movie if we weren't going to do a fucking review of it because of that beginning sequence. Because I knew it was good. Maybe you're right. Maybe that's what you mean. That's the whole point of that. Like, I only watched it because I had to.
Because you knew what it was going to be, right? You knew from the beginning. You knew the type of movie it was going to be.
No, I didn't know. I mean, even with that, I was still expecting because of the trailer. The trailer led me to believe one thing, and the trailer was not what this film was. The trailer had nothing to do with the film.
I think
other than there was an animal running around, and then we find out like right off the bat that it's buffalo. You know.
I just think it's a little extreme to feel like you don't think that you put on a different lens to watch different things.
I think I adjust myself to a certain point. Like if I know I'm gonna watch a shitty movie, knowing that I'm going in watching a shitty movie.
I think you're being too harsh.
Well, because I'm not willing to give that concession.
It's not a concession.
It is a concession.
It's a truth.
It's not a truth.
It is.
There's nothing in this movie that I haven't seen before. So what's creative about it? Because the guy decided I'm gonna make something that has no fucking story. But I'm gonna use long takes. I'm gonna use
you can say that with literally every movie that's ever come out ever.
Okay. Well, no, I don't have to do. What you're doing is giving credit to something that I don't feel like I need to give credit for. And you said from the very beginning of this review that we weren't going to agree on it, like right off from Jump Street, and it's true. Like you took us down this other road. No, I told you this is what it is.
It has no story,
and then you dropped the fucking the same word you always drop when a movie has no story. Well, theme. it's theme. The story's about theme.
Then why would theme exist?
There is no story. Theme.
Why would theme exist?
Theme. I don't think theme exists, man. I think that's bullshit. I think it's a buzzword. I think that's what people use.
You're a smart person. It's really retarded for you to say that.
No,
it is.
It's not, dude. The problem with this film is that people. That's what nobody likes these kind of films. This is a film that other people like filmmakers say they love because it makes them feel smarter
stupid.
and fucking know more about
That's so
film.
fucking stupid.
That's what it is.
We go to a direction and you're hung up on like, well, it didn't have a story. Okay, I said it didn't have a story.
No, but
we agreed immediately that it didn't have a story.
I took it off of the things that you were saying. Everything you said, I was taking off what you were saying.
But for you to deny that theme doesn't exist.
What are we missing about the film that you want to talk about? Let's talk about what you want to talk about.
It's not about anything specific. It's just the idea of, it's not just this movie, but it's any fucking movie that's not straightforward. Like there's an audience for artistic films.
I don't even know what you like about the film. That's the thing about it.
I know because we got stuff.
I don't know what the only thing I could get is the technical stuff, and then you told me like the Tree of Life bullshit at the beginning and the end.
See, that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. It's not encouraging because you look at movies like that as bullshit.
Because they are.
No, they're not.
They are.
It's an artistic expression.
They are. They're like made for fart sniffing, man. It's a very specific audience.
But you went to the greatest film school in the world. You could talk about that shit.
Yeah, I went to the greatest film school in the world who are fucking super anti-fart sniffing film. They're like completely anti that shit. They try to push you away from it the fucking most.
That's not true at all.
Absolutely
No,
is.
it's not because they never taught us how to what to do with the actual movies and how to make movies.
Well, I mean, that's if you want to argue about that. I mean, that's
they just talk technique.
Story, you know.
Technique is not the same thing. I thought we could talk about the thematics, the fucking go deep, and my thing is, people were clicking on this, wanted us to go deep into thematics. Guarantee you, fucking guarantee.
Well, let's go deep.
What was
into
the interpretation
thematics.
of the ending and the beast, the approach? You don't think theme exists?
And give me specifics.
That's why I'm so fucking triggered. I did. We were talking about the hominids and the ants, and you completely dismissed it. So it literally shuts off the things I want to talk about are thematics.
Right, because it starts there, and then it goes into a completely different direction in the middle, and then it connects it back in. And then it's up to you to fucking connect everything together.
Except it doesn't, because the overall issue is you think it becomes about this buffalo.
You start off with this weird surrealistic beginning, then you go into real life, and then you end it with surrealism again.
No, ends with surrealism, and there's nothing surreal about the beginning.
The people opening their eyes, closing the eyes.
People don't wake up?
No, the way they do it, they look like they were all on top of each other.
No, they don't.
Yes, they totally did.
It was just cutting to everybody in the village.
It looked like people were on top
up.
of each other. Close. The fucking background was completely black. There was no background. It was just people's faces.
It's people waking up.
It was just their eyes.
It's people waking up.
I know.
The sun comes up.
When you do that, and when you put that over the rhythmic, like doing it to everyone open their eyes to the beat, that's completely that's all surrealism. That was a fucking music video. That's solely surreal.
No.
That's the way I looked at it up. I was like, what the fuck am I watching right off the bat with the eye shit? Not the ants and everything else. No. When we started doing that, I was like, oh fuck, what am I watching?
See, people waking up. You're talking about adding.
That's not the way I interpreted it.
See, you talk shit about me adding to the story. What did you just do? You added that to it.
People don't wake up in rhythm like that. People's eyes open like right away.
No shit.
Most people's eyes are like blinking, fucking rubbing their face. Looking around?
Did you want the movie to be 2.5 hours so we can see
every
individual person waking up?
But that's what I'm telling you right off the bat. You're trying to like, oh, it's natural. It's real life. No, it wasn't natural.
It's editing.
Okay, but why? It was edited in a certain way because to give you what?
To show everybody waking up.
That's what it was. That's
yes.
what it was. That's the only reason why he was showing that for.
I think so.
That's why he put a rhythmic track behind it.
Yes, because it's creative and interesting. I'm not saying that it was great and I loved it and I applauded it and that's the best thing in the world and I'm going to put that in my movie, but I'm saying that was his way. If on the script it said, the village wakes up. That's all. Maybe that's all it said on the paper.
Okay.
And I give you the script. And you could, I don't know how you would interpret that. Maybe you have chickens crowing, well maybe not chickens, but you know what I'm saying, and all of a sudden the sun rises and you film it in a certain way and all of a sudden people come out and start dusting. Maybe that's how you interpret the village waking up, right? Mm. I think he interpreted a line like that.
I would have had a wide shot of the guy pushing the cotton cart around.
Yeah, the guy who...
Pushing the cotton cart real slowly in the frame.
And you could have done that, and there's been nothing wrong with that. There's literally nothing wrong with that. I just think...
If anything, my biggest gripe about the film is we didn't get more... I think that was cotton, by the way. I didn't know what the fuck that was. I was like, is that shaved coconut pieces in there? What is he pushing around?
That cart got fucked up by a bull. That bull fucked that
That
part
was
up.
Wayne's World 2 when they're walking across the street with the watermelons and the glass panels.
Oh,
Yeah, wait, exactly. That's what that was.
oh, yeah.
Yeah. We're putting this here so that it I need a reason to
Just to-
destroy this cart.
That's literally what it was.
There was
He's
nothing-
in the bank, and then the bank gets destroyed. Look, that's what I'm saying. We could talk about structural points and how they don't make any fucking sense, but at the end of the day, you take a step back, what the movie's really about is about the greater. That's why I got stuck on the fuck that you rejected theme so fast, because you gotta have theme. You didn't see
Okay,
Irishman yet.
I'm sorry I didn't say that. I'm sorry I said that. All right. Okay. And my whole point was I understood that's what the film was about, and it just fucking was executed very poorly. That was my problem. When you throw that shit at the end, and I'm like, oh my god, is this how we're gonna end this shit now? Is this how?
But what's wrong with that ending that way?
Because it was so abrupt, and now you're telling me that at the very beginning of the film, that's what connects me to the very end.
How did I get it then?
Because that's what I knew it was coming when it came. I wasn't surprised. I wasn't shocked. I was
But
just
what
like,
does it have to do with
I was just like,
surprise?
fuck. Because it went there so fast. Because we had a very real moment going on. And then all of a sudden, no.
Indian dog pile.
Yeah, let's go into a fucking dog pile in this human fucking pyramid. And then go to the fucking, to cavemen fighting over the same buffalo. So that
Well,
we
it's not
know
the same buffalo.
human beings.
That'd be an old ass buffalo.
Oh, fuck. Oh, man. Oh, it's basically like no matter how civilized we get, we're all animals at heart, and fucking you push us to the edge. And
But
we
see,
become
but you
fucking
could have,
beasts.
but you could have interpreted that scene differently. I could have interpreted that scene differently. I think that's the beauty of it. I don't think that scene necessarily means anything.
I think you throwing cavemen at the very end is fucking pretty on the nose. Like
Maybe.
especially like fighting over a buffalo. Like if you didn't get that,
They weren't fighting over a buffalo though. They were
didn't get
collective.
that.
They were okay with killing it. There was only a few. They just charged it in the cave and killed it.
well,
They worked together because there
tur-
was less of them.
it turned into a thing where the buffalo
could-
turned into property.
But you could make that argument too. There was less of them, so they didn't fight as much.
Ah, God damn it.
It's true. You look at the whole village. There's literally felt like hundreds of them at some point. Like if you can applaud
was-
anything,
there
it's the
was
amount of extras that were
More
in
and
the
more
movie.
people that were showing up, like bit by bit. There was so
to
many.
the point
fucking,
where you had a human pyramid. What would you rate this movie? Yeah. So what
Yeah.
would you do? Would you rent it, put it in your collection, or throw it in the trash?
This one's going in the trash for me. Pretty sure that was clear.
I just had to ask.
Yeah.
We need to actually get a trash can so we can put these things in there so we can look.
Only if we
Let's
had
see what other
like a
movies
really
Gian thinks
terrible terrible photocopy of what the cover should be,
that we printed.
or
That's why it would look
we had
shitty.
one of Carlos's little sisters make a fucking drawing. The youngest one, like a
Jallikattu.
little stick figure. Yeah.
You'd probably like it better than the movie. For me, it was a watch. I'd own the poster for this movie, and if I ever did a chase film that took place in the jungle, this would be a movie I'd probably watch beforehand, along with Apocalypto and stuff. The way I talk about the movie, it sounds like it's my favorite movie of 2019 and the greatest movie of all time. I just literally got stuck on.
Well,
the
maybe
theme.
it's the juxtaposition with my thing. I didn't hate the film. Like I wasn't angry that I watched
Well,
it.
shit.
I
fooled me.
I was just like, fuck.
Well,
Okay, here we go.
The best thing about this is next week we're going to be going to Tamil Cinema. We're going to be reviewing Kaithi, probably mispronouncing it, apologies. And this movie will be up your alley more so than this one, for sure.
I don't think I've watched other than is a robot considered. Is it Enteran? Is that the real name? For
Yeah,
it?
it's Tamil. There.
Is that considered Tamil? I feel
This-
like that
this-
might be the only Tamil film I've actually watched.
This is, if I had a top 10 list, that would be in my top 10. I think you'll enjoy this one more. There's definitely a story with characters. So
I don't need you being so condescending about my need for story. All right, that's what's going to come out.
There's no theme. There's no
They're
theme.
so condescending. Anyways, guys, we hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. You know the drill. Smash that like button, leave comments, let us know what you think, and we'll see you on the next one.